So this is HTC's new HD2. You could say that it's the spiritual successor to the Touch HD, which was released last year. And that's mainly because it has an absolutely huge 4.3-inch capacitive touchscreen. That's much bigger than the HD's 3.8-inch screen, which of course was resistive as well. But because they've packed it into something with a relatively small screen bezel, the size of the two phones actually is very similar. So it runs Windows Mobile 6.5 I should say, with HTC Sense on top of it. Now, we've only ever seen Sense before on the HTC Hero, which is an Android handset, but HTC have kind of brought it over to Windows Mobile 6.5 and brought a whole lot more widgets in to take advantage of the huge display on offer. Inside, it's got Qualcomm's 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, which means that things kind of keep running along at quite a pace. The only other phone we've seen with that at the moment is the Toshiba TG01. But because, of course, the HD2 has the capacitive screen, they've also introduced multi-touch gestures. So that means that in the Opera browser, for instance, you can load up web pages and use pinch zoom to zoom in and out rather than having to necessarily tap to zoom. And this does have a connection, albeit a relatively slow one. As you can see, the keyboard is pretty large to take advantage of all that vertical and horizontal width. So let's see if we can load up a site and see the touch zoom in action. We're on an edge connection at the moment, so it's probably going to be quite slow. Though of course the HD2 does support Wi-Fi BG, HSPA. At first it will be a European device, though we've just spoken to HTC and they did say that there will be a US version that will launch probably in Q1 2010. No idea whether that's going to be T-Mobile or an AT&T version, or in fact a CDMA, you never know, but we'll probably hear more about that later. So just put this down and you can see that we can zoom in and out. If we tap to zoom in, it reflows the text and does that pretty quickly. The pictures aren't loading because of the relatively slow collection, but the zoom rendering is very, very quick, quicker than we've seen before, perhaps on a Windows mobile phone. Around the back, there's a 5 megapixel camera, and that's got autofocus and a dual LED flash. And the battery, while it's relatively small, obviously to fit into a small package, does offer, HTC tell us, a full day's use. At the bottom there's a 3.5mm headphone jack and a micro USB connector, which is another first for HTC. And they'll also be offering a car kit which will stick to the windscreen. It kind of sticks using a similar stuff that the Palm put on the bottom of the touchstone, and you get a special back cover with a docking port. It fits in horizontally, and then it automatically loads up the navigation menu. Down here at the bottom there's the usual 5 controls: call, home, Windows, mobile menu, back and power. And that's the HTC Touch HD2. It should be available in the UK sometime later this month.